welcome to the Monday evening edition of Weather for Weather Geeks. We're back after taking a nice break over the weekend. Boy, just as expected, the weekend weather was fantastic after a very unsettled week last week. This week, also unsettled, although the severe weather risk will be lower this week than it was last week. The flash flooding risk this week is potentially a little bit higher than it was last week. Let's start out this evening and show you total rainfall across our region over the last 7 days. Now, of course, we had a dry weekend, and these totals don't include today's values, but basically we're looking at Monday through Friday of last week on this graphic. And yeah, kind of in a stripe from around I-80 down to about Route 224. 2 to 3 inches of rain, pretty common. Even some places getting pretty close to 4 inches or so in northern and northwestern Lawrence County around the New Wilmington area. So yeah, we've gotten a healthy drink of water in many places over the last week, although I mentioned this last week on some of our live coverage. You know, a place like Hanoverton and Lisbon, they've kind of missed out on a lot of the heavy rain that we've had over the last week, so amounts are quite a bit lower through there. Now, officially at the Youngstown Warren Airport, through just a little over halfway through the month, we're running quite a surplus for August. 3.78 is the total at the airport. That's about 2 inches more than average through the first 16 days of the month. And quickly, temperatures. This has been a warmer than average start to August, despite several days where the high temperature has been cooler than average, including the last 3. We are running 1.3 above the average when you factor in the highs and the lows. And of course, we had some pretty hot weather last week with a 91 on Monday and 89 on Thursday, 87 on Friday. All right, some actual rain gauges across our area over the last 24 hours. About a half an inch here in downtown Youngstown up on the roof at WFMJ, and about a half an inch in Boardman. Lower amounts once you're down towards Latonia, New Middletown, over towards New Garden. And then at my personal weather station down in the Calcutta area, Glenmore, in southeastern Columbiana, I've picked up 0.6 inches. We had some downpours for a time this morning. In Jackson Center, Mercer County, about a half an inch worth of rain. Those are some rain gauge numbers. When we look at the radar estimates, there's a hot spot here around, Girard, an inch, inch and a half, close to an inch up towards Howland and Warren as well. And again, another hot spot down in southern Columbiana County around Wellsville. Radar estimate here of a little over an inch over the last 24 hours. All right, radar as of this recording at about 7:06 p.m. It's been fairly quiet the last couple of hours, couple of sprinkles and showers, no big deal. We have more pronounced showers out towards I-77. I can't rule out a shower, even a downpour, before this evening is through. I don't think we're looking at as much rain as we had earlier on today. But yeah, I'm not going to be surprised to see a couple of downpours develop. Small chance for some thunder. Quickly heading down to the south, this is what's left of Fred, which made landfall as a tropical storm this morning across the panhandle of Florida. Still a tornado risk on the east side of this circulation, as is typical of landfalling tropical systems. So a tornado watch is up for the panhandle of Florida and parts of southwestern Georgia as well. Now, flash flood watches are in effect for Florida Panhandle, a lot of Georgia, and up into the southern Appalachians as well. I'm not going to be too thrown off guard if more flash flood watches are issued up the spine of the Appalachians into maybe West Virginia, Western Virginia, and parts of Pennsylvania over the next 24 hours. I think the heaviest rain will be along the spine of the Appalachians, right through the mountainous areas in western North Carolina, the very hilly terrain, southwest Virginia, up into eastern West Virginia around the Blue Ridge Parkway, and then up into parts of Pennsylvania and southern New York as well. There could be some 5 to 7 inch totals in some places over the next handful of days. Here locally, we're too far west to get in on the heart of the remnant moisture from Fred. Fred is kind of interacting with a stalled front. Even without Fred, it would be a pretty unsettled week in the eastern U.S., but with Fred's moisture coming north, again, some places to our east will get a lot of rain the next several days. For us, a good average on our models here, inch and a half, but that's kind of an area-wide average. There's going to be some variation. We saw that today. Where you have a couple of downpours, you might get an inch worth of rain in 6 hours. But as just an area-wide average through the weekend, inch and a half should be a good average. Some places might get a few inches before all is said and done. All right, tomorrow's flash flood risk is elevated once again. Now, it's towards the lower end of the scale here, but it's still something we're going to have to be on the lookout for, especially in the afternoon. Some downpours will try to develop Tuesday afternoon, and some of these could cause some issues in areas of poor drainage, and some of our creeks and rivers will start maybe running a little bit high the next couple of days. With Fred's remnants coming northward and making their closest approach Wednesday morning, we still have, I think, kind of an elevated flash flood risk across our area, with easily the higher rain totals and the higher risk of flash flooding east of I-79 over into central and southern parts of the Keystone State. So I think Tuesday will evolve kind of like today did, with a scattering of showers, probably most numerous as we get into the afternoon, and while some of these will be fairly garden variety, no big deal. A couple of these can contain a tropical downpour. Once again, conditions are not super favorable for a lot of thunder and lightning, but a clap of thunder is something that can't be ruled out. This is when Fred makes its closest approach. There might be a period of steady rain for a handful of hours Wednesday morning. It goes into kind of a scattered showers regime as we get into the afternoon on Wednesday, as the low pushes to the east. But still, with the tropical air mass in place, even though this will become more scattered in nature Wednesday afternoon, anything could contain a downpour. That is going to be a possibility. Still be a possibility Thursday, even though what's left of Fred gets off the playing field. Another disturbance is rounding in. Another pretty good trough of low pressure will give us a pretty good chance of some showers and storms again on Thursday, especially in the afternoon. And boy, that break from the humidity over the weekend was quick. It's muggy this evening. It's going to stay muggy for the next several days. Elevated dew points through at least the weekend and maybe into early next week as well. So we have these elevated rain chances over the next handful of days. And even over the weekend, even though to me it doesn't look as active over the weekend, I think there could still be a shower or storm around both Saturday and Sunday, especially on Sunday with a more pronounced weather disturbance pushing in. What about the longer range? Real quickly, a couple of words here. Here's our trough of low pressure that keeps the weather kind of unsettled as we head towards the end of the week and the start of the weekend. That gets replaced next week by a building ridge across the Mississippi Valley, and this looks like a pretty warm pattern for us, taking us into next week. Now, this is the 24th when this animation stops, so this is next Tuesday. I think beyond this disturbance right here may flatten the flow enough that a cool down will transpire as we go towards the end of next week. Low confidence in that at this point, but early on next week looks pretty warm to me. And, we're getting into the last 10 days of August. Our averages are slowly but surely falling back. So in the last 10 days of August, an 85-degree day is more like 4 or 5 degrees warmer than average instead of just a couple of degrees warmer than average. So, I think we've got a lot of mid-80s days and nights with lows in the 60s ahead of us through at least the first half of next week. Lots of summer left. Lots of comments on Facebook about this summer stinks, I haven't used my pool at all, that sort of thing. Truth be told, we've had a lot of rain lately, of course, but temperature-wise, this has been a pretty warm summer. July was a touch below average, but June was 3 degrees warmer than average, and August is almost certainly going to go into the record books as warmer than the average. All right, that's it for me tonight. Thanks for watching the Monday evening Weather for Weather Geeks video. I will see you back here on Tuesday.